Looking to make a difference with your shopping? Visit communitypayitforward.us. Select the mission or cause you want to support and scan the QR code. You have two options. Click the first link and browse our giving partners, or use the second link to tell us what you need, and we'll find the right partners for you. Shop with these partners and keep your receipt or invoice. Next, click a picture or simply upload a picture of your receipt to the portal in every form, adding your name and email address. Your purchase now turns into a donation to the mission you've chosen. Community Pay It Forward shares your business story with those in need of your services to rally support for those who need us all. Hello, my friends. My name is Zach Clayton. Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels. New intro, finally. Yay, he got off his butt and he did something. That's right. Oh, and look at this. He's got paper towels that it looks like it was toilet paper on his desk. So I've been trying to clean my desk for like 3 days now. And as you can see, I haven't got very far. So been spending time with the grandkids. Kind of a cool thing because, up until a couple years ago, I didn't even have grandkids. So, but my beautiful wife has allowed me the chance to have 2 daughters and a son that I never had before. And wow, 7 grandkids. Look at that. No pressure, boys. No pressure whatsoever. So, hey, everybody. We are going to meet our newest channel sponsor. Jill E. Schultz is joining us today. I do want to warn everyone, there are triggers in this conversation, okay? Jill does understand that there are many triggers that, could lead to some serious problems. And she wants us to make sure that we share this link, which is jilleschultz.com/get help. There are many resources there for you to go on to her website and find ways of to help yourself. Okay. She is also offering everyone, when you sign up on her website, if you go to her website, and this is her website, when you go onto her website, if you just look at the front page, you sign your first name, your last name, email address, and phone, which is optional. As you can see, the last name is also optional. You fill that out, and she's going to give you the free Uncover Your Shame and her course, Shed the Shame, Manifest the Magic. This is a way that she was able to take and turn shame into living. Again, this is a very, very serious show where someone took something that is just absolutely abhorrent, something that none of us would ever want to have to deal with. She was able to take this situation and turn it into a way to give and support other people. It's a very telling story about how something that we all live with. Okay. There's not a single one of us that doesn't look back in our life at some point in time and relive it 1,000 times in your head and say, wow, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I mean, every single one of us has that situation in our head. I know that there are times that I'll be sitting there thinking of something, and all of a sudden, no matter what I'm thinking of at the moment, my mind will just disappear. And that situation in my mind will change, and I'll have that thought in my head. And, that's not exactly what I want to do. It'll overtake my thought. It'll overtake my, and there's times that it just gets to be a little too much, and it'll frankly lose your day. What Jill wants to do is Jill wants to teach you how to live with that and not let it ruin the life that you've worked hard to build. This is something that could be very, very useful for many of us. And most importantly, it could really save people's lives. So I am proud to introduce you to one of our the brand new sponsor of the Pack Channels. This is Jill E. Schultz of jilleschultz.com. As soon as she's done, I'm going to show you one more time how to register to get her free giveaway, Uncover Your Shame, and her course, Shed the Shame, Manifest the Magic. Okay, we're going to play the interview as soon as we get back from our brand new partnership with a wonderful pet store. We got in on the ground level, and we're extremely happy because, as you can see, as most of you know, I'm kind of a pet guy. We've talked about her for the last couple of weeks, and I am thrilled to introduce everyone to Jill E. Schultz. And I can actually say her name better than I can apparently spell your name, because after you and I had our last meeting, when the internet went kerfuffle on me and we weren't able to record, I went back through and I noticed how many places I had forgotten the C in your name.
Yeah. If that's the worst that's happening to us, we're doing pretty good, right?
I agree with that. But I am thrilled to introduce everyone to a very special person to us, because Jill has become a sponsor of the PAC channel and helping us grow and be somewhere where people can come on and they can talk about things like, Jill, what you coach. And can you please introduce people to yourself and then tell them about your journey?
Yeah, sure. Before we do that, I always like to give a disclaimer, because my story is a little taboo, and it's not a little taboo. It's very taboo. It's tender, and it's not a conversation that people are having at this point. And so God came to me and said, you get to do this. But if my story triggers you at all, I see that you just put up the get help. I have a lot of different resources on my website for you to have an anonymous conversation with someone. If you feel like this is something that you're just remembering, or you're like, oh my God, this is something that I have had as an obstacle in my life for a long time, and now I get to deal with it. So I was molested when I was around 3 or 4 years old, and I'm so grateful for the Me Too movement, because I feel like it's way easier for us to talk about sexual trauma right now than it ever was before. And so those brave people that came first and stepped out and started the conversation, I'm so grateful for. But where my story turns tender and taboo is because of what somebody taught me to do. I innocently and curiously started experimenting with other children. I was just a child myself. I was probably around 7 years old when I started acting out that way. And I lived with debilitating shame for 41 years, thinking that I was the only little girl who ever did anything like that. And sadly, it's quite common. And so I'm here to vulnerably share my story, to give you permission to really bring to light any secret that you're hiding from, because everybody has that one thing that you never want anyone to know, or everyone has that one secret that only you and God know. I don't know if you believe in God, source, universe, whatever. I call God, God, but please don't turn us off because I've named the puppy. So anyway, that's, that's really why I'm here. Never did I want to be the poster child for this conversation, but as soon as I surrendered into it, I started to see the gift in my pain. Now I know that I get to share my story, because if somebody had been talking about this when I was younger, I would have been released from so much of the pain that I lived in for so many years. So that's why I'm here doing this.
Jill, you cannot forgive yourself until you open up about this subject, right? And until you allow yourself to be able to talk about what you've done or something in your life, you can't forgive yourself if it's still buried deep within you, right?
100%. Yeah. Shame can't live in the light. So that's why, I really want to encourage people, for whatever secret's holding you back, to find somebody to talk to you about it. Find somebody that you trust, or use one of the anonymous resources that we have at the Get Help section of my website, because I can't tell you, when I finally got to that place where I shared my story, not only was it this huge weight lifted off of me, but the level of kindness and compassion and love and understanding that was on the other side of me saying those words out loud, to this day can still bring me to tears, because I had made up such a story about how nobody else had ever done anything as shameful as I had. And how can I say these words out loud, because this person's going to think I'm a monster. And I can't tell you over and over again, I've shared my story so many times now, and every single time it's just, oh my God, I can't believe that happened to you, and, you're brave and courageous for talking about it now. So please whatever secret has been holding you back from love, from success in business, from connection, any of those things, please find somebody to talk to about it.
You know, you really, and I understand what you were just saying, but the thing is, you know, for me, I'd like to kind of bring up the fact that it is amazing, you know, what you're trying to teach people, what you're trying to tell people. And I think one of the reasons why people are so taken back from it is because, as you said in the opening, this is something we don't hear every day. Okay, this isn't, hey, how's the weather in your area? This isn't something that we talk about every day. You started this by saying that you were molested as a child, and that right there is something that, you know, I mean, you want to talk about an oh my God moment. It was right there. That was it.
Yeah.
And then it steps up that anxiety a little bit by you stating what happened after that. So, you know, I can see why people come at you and they express their amazement of you, because I feel amazed by what you just said. What are some of the things in which you were talking about the Me Too movement?
Mm-hmm.
Since the Me Too movement, what have other people come out to you and said, as far as, you know what, I thought I was going to go to my grave with this. What are some of the things that have come from those conversations?
Well, I think because I'm not sticking specifically to sexual trauma, I'm talking about secrets of any kind.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of feedback of, you know, thank you for being that person to start the conversation about any secret, you know, because it's opening up an opportunity for people to heal. And I have a free gift. It's called Uncover Your Shame. And so I know we're going to have that in here, but the reason that I'm bringing that up is because since I've been sending that out, that's really where I've been getting a lot of feedback from people, is when they do this exercise. I take you through a series of questions on really what your shame is about, because sometimes people forget what it is. Sometimes they've hidden it. Sometimes, you know, for me, the sexual trauma would come in waves. I would remember and I would forget, and I would remember and I would forget. But I take you through a series of questions in this. And one of them is, what's one thing only you and God know? Because I feel like when you ask that question, it's like, oh my God, like that's a question that really lands, because people will come up with that answer immediately because you've been hiding it for so long. And then I take you through additional questions of all the places that your soul has fragmented because of that one initial instance. So for me, the initial instance was when somebody molested me. But where my soul fragmented was when I started acting out, when I got caught, when I developed an eating disorder, when I wasn't connecting with men, when I had imposter syndrome. Like all of those fragmentations of my soul were from that initial instance of when I was hurt. And so we go through all those questions, and then I take you through a beautiful, it's called Ho'oponopono. It's a healing meditation where you get to release all of that. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is you're asking me about the feedback that I'm getting around this. And that's where I'm getting the most feedback, because it's taking people to places that they've hidden for a very long time, and they're being able to release it. So I'm so excited for the feedback that I'm getting around that, because, you know, in the last year and a couple of months, I've done over 60 podcasts and a couple radio shows and some lives, but you never know whose life you're touching when you're doing these types of things, because I don't know who's listening right now, you know, but when people are actively doing this work and stepping in for my free gift, that's where I'm seeing people give me feedback and just saying, thank you for doing this. So that was a very, very long answer to your question.
Well, yeah. And just to let everybody know, if you look on the bottom of your screen right now, all that information is scrolling across. Yeah. All you got to do, Jill, is just go to your website, correct?
Go to my website. It's the first thing you're going to see.
First thing you're going to see. And as a matter of fact, it's connected to a video that we're going to show you as soon as this interview is done. It's connected to that. All you have to do is put your name and some other information. Jill's going to send that to you.
All you have to do is first name and email. You don't have to send me your last name. You don't have to send me your phone number, because I know that people that are dealing with this kind of shame don't want to be known, you know? So that's all the information I need from you, is just so that I can send you, we're freezing a little bit, just so I can send you the module.
Let me ask you this. You were talking about people and, you know, it's easy for them to it's easy for them to answer that question. How many times, you know, because there's a lot of people who have worked so hard to forget or forget all of it. Can that truly happen? Or is that a denial response?
Oh no, that can happen. I don't remember who molested me when I don't remember. And, you know, I've had 3 therapists in the last 41 years. And one of my therapists said to me, you know, it's most likely because it was somebody very close to you. And so, you know, you don't want to remember somebody hurting you like that. So, yeah, I've done a lot of work around that. And none of them have ever pressured me to figure it out. It's really not important that I know I forgave that person a long time ago. And that's another really important factor when you're dealing with any sort of secret or any sort of shame, is to forgive the person who hurt you. And you're not forgiving them to let them off the hook. You're forgiving them so that you can move on and not have that, you know, like a boulder in front of you. You get to forgive and let go, and then take responsibility for your life every single day.
What kind of ramifications did you have to live with because of your guilt?
Yeah.
Like through your 20s and even earlier.
Yeah. Well, it started with my eating disorder. I was bulimic. I was bulimic until I was 41 years old. So that is a long ass time. I'm sorry. I don't know if we're supposed to swear on here.
Yeah, you can absolutely. It's
okay. I tend to have a little bit of a potty mouth, especially with this kind of a topic. It's shocking information. So sometimes I do swear. Yeah, it started with an eating disorder. And then, you know, I've always had really beautiful friendships. So I never struggled with connection with friendships, but I very much struggled with relationships with men. I would walk into a restaurant or bar or whatever, and a man would look at me, and I would immediately look down. And it took me a long time to come to the realization that I didn't want a man to see me, because I thought if a man saw who I really was, saw deep into my soul and knew what I did, how could he love me? And so I had this big wall of protection up for a very long time. And now I'm like, how can he not love me? I'm amazing. You know, I've done all this work. And so that's another area. And then I really struggled with imposter syndrome. I've had success in business. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I'm one of those crazy people that has a lot going on. But and I'm very blessed that I have businesses that I really love. Like I have an event business, I have a wine business, and now I'm stepping into, you know, doing this. And so I'm blessed in that way. But I had never felt like I was smart enough to scale a business, you know. And I used to belong to this organization called EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. And I would sit in the room with these other business owners and like, why am I even here? I don't even compete with these people. They're brilliant. You know, I'm not smart enough to be here. So those were really the significant ways that this all has impacted my life. And it all comes down to self-worth and self-love and, you know, all of that I've spent a very, very long time working on. I didn't love myself till I was 51 years old.
You know, it's explain imposter syndrome to people.
In my mind, it's more of a business term. It's related to business, and it's where you don't feel like you're competent to be doing what you're doing. You know, you don't feel like you're smart enough. You don't feel like you have the skills. You don't feel like you really feel like an imposter in your position. And, you know, there are people who are billionaires and still have imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Well, I do see how people, you know, I have known people who tried to be someone they weren't in real life situations, that, you know, they tried to be something they weren't so they could fit in. So I think that imposter syndrome could be reflected into real life as well. I've known people who tried to act a heck of a lot smarter so they could hang out with, the cool kids or the smart kids, whatever it was, even though, they didn't fit there.
Kind of the fake it till you make it.
Right. There you go. Fake it till you make it, and I thankfully I've never been one of those guys that wanted to be with the cool kids. I never really cared about being with the cool kids, at least not until, I got onto a motorcycle, and then I just thought I was one of the cool kids.
Right. Naturally.
But
hop on a hog and everybody's cool, right?
Yeah, that's right. They're all cool as you're passing them at 50 miles an hour with the wind in your hair.
Hi, puppy.
Yeah, she's back.
So cute.
But when somebody comes up and talks to you, Jill, what is the first question they have for you?
Oh,
in general?
What was the first question you had for me?
Tell me about you was my first question, because I was so interested in, I saw your website, and you could really tell that there was something there. And I was lucky enough that I got to hear you speak at the speakers meeting, and I heard a little bit of your story, and I was just instantly captivated, because you were talking about how you had built your program through the event that had happened earlier in your life. And I was like going, I got to talk to this woman. So
yeah, I just vomited my story all over everybody. You know what the funny thing is? And I wonder sometimes how people see me now, because I talk about my story with so unemotionally, is that a word? Unemotionally?
Yeah.
I'm so unemotional when I do it, but it took me a long time to get to this place. But I want people to know that the more you tell your story, the less power it has over you. Like a year and a half ago, I'd be sobbing the whole time having this conversation with you. But when you start to share your story and you get it out of your body, shame can't live in the light, so it loses its power over you. I don't know what question people ask me. I don't know how to answer that.
Okay, well, let me ask you this one. You call it unemotional, but could that have something to do with the recovery steps? At one point in time, you were a victim, then you were a warrior, and now I don't want to say that you have defeated it, but now you are standing over it, looking at it as if, I've got you under control. So it's not, it's not that I've conquered it. But you got it under control. It's no longer driving your life into the ground.
Right.
So could that have something to do with it? Because you hear I'm a victim, or you hear I'm a survivor. You've gone one step further than even survivor, to where I'm not letting it, ruin my life anymore. There's more to life than just this.
Yeah. I think what fuels me around all of that is I just want to be a hopeful example for people.
Yep.
And so I had to get to that place where I surrendered into the fact that this is what I get to do. Because when God first came to me and said, this is your purpose, I was like, oh, hell no. I mean, that is a really big ask, It's a really big ask. But once I was like, okay, like, this is your thing, you figure it out. There were a lot of obstacles that came up as I was writing my book, and, getting up and steps, just doing this on the podcast and stuff. And every time I had this obstacle, and they were big obstacles, like really, really life-wrenching obstacles. And I'm like, figure it out. You figure it out. This is your mission. You figure it out. So, I just really want to be that hopeful story for people to know that, if you've been hiding from something for so long, oh my God, I just want to squeeze that puppy. If you've been hiding from something for so long, you get to talk about it, and you get to create a magical life. I believe that everything on our heart was given to us by God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it. And we get to have those things. So if you have a ski boat that you want. You get to have that. If you want to start a business, you get to do that. Like, you get to have all those things that are on your heart. And every day it's our only job. Because I do a lot of manifesting right now. That's Shed the Shame, Manifest the Magic. Every day we get to just feel what it feels like to have those things and call those things into our lives.
Yeah, but it's okay to look at God and go, you couldn't have just had me adopt a cat. I mean, come on, you had to ask this of me.
We fight all the time. I hear people talk about how they don't hear God's voice, and it makes me really, really sad, because God does not stop talking to me, and we fight. Like, I have told God, oh, hell no, seriously. Like, yesterday I was so mad. I'm like, you promised me, you know? So it's beautiful to have that kind of relationship. But yeah, you're right. Why not just adopt a kitty cat? Or yeah. There was definitely a bigger plan in the making, for sure.
Yeah, do something easy like go save a child out of a burning building. But
right?
no, you want me to do this.
I'd rather.
But let's talk a little bit about the book.
Okay.
What was it about your story that made you put the pen to the paper and made you decide, I think this is the best way for me to tell my story?
I didn't want to write a book.
Yeah.
That was another fight. So when I finally surrendered into this, all I wanted to do was get on stages and shout my message from the rooftop, because I wanted to be that person that was able to collapse time for people. So as soon as I surrendered into it, I was like, let's go, you know? And I had a friend who is a speaker, and he's like, if you want to get on stages, you got to write a book. And I'm like, I don't want to write a book. And God beautifully brought me all that I needed for that book. I wrote 2 chapters in the book, but as I was continuing to share my story within the community that I got a significant amount of healing through, it's called Hardcore Leadership. Amazing transformational work. Everybody should do it. I kept getting me too. And God kept presenting these people to me that are now anonymous stories in the book. And so that's really how the book came about. And it's called, God, I have so many things. It's called Liberated, Releasing the Dark Cloud of Shame.
And they can pick that up on your website, right?
On my website. It says book. Yep. Everything's on my website, all my social media, all my podcasts, everything that I'm up to, the course, Shed the Shame, Manifest the Magic, the freebie, that's all on the website.
What is the biggest fight somebody's going to come up to when they make this decision? What is going to be their biggest hurdle?
Being brave and courageous.
Is that bravery that they need to realize, look, not everybody's going to look down on you? I mean, is it just an outright fear like, holy shit, people are going to know my secret now? Is that what it is? Is that, you know, people are going to know, people are going to look at me different. You're going to have all these things running through your head, right?
Yeah, those are all the stories I had. How can I say this out loud? I thought it, as a 12-year-old child, I thought I was a monster, and I thought I was a pedophile. As a 12-year-old child, how do you get past that? How do you get past having those self-loathing thoughts about yourself and then being able to verbalize it, you know? So that's why first of all, for those of you who are listening today, this is not by chance. You're here on purpose. You're hearing my story on purpose because you have something that's been holding you back. And so now's the time that you get to look that shame in the face and say, you don't own me anymore. Today gets to be the first day of the rest of your life where you get to release all that and you get to heal from it. And I'm telling you, on the other side is fucking magic. It's magic. I used to, and the reason the book's called Liberated, Releasing the Dark Cloud of Shame is because I used to go to bed every night with this oppressive shame cloud just looming over me. And I'd wake up and it was there. And all day long, I was going through my life knowing that I had this shameful secret that was so vile that I literally had all this self-loathing for myself, you know? And now that I've done the work, because you are worth doing the work to heal, now that I've done the work, that cloud is gone. And when you live with something like that for 41 years, I'm like, where's my cloud? You know, it's like, it's so weird that it's not there anymore. But all of that is gone. And now I just have this beautiful blank canvas that I get to co-create my life every day with God. Every single day I wake up and I know I get to choose what my life looks like. It's beautiful.
Within this healing process, within the healing program, I guess my first question is, can you do it in steps? You know, just try to learn this in steps. Say, hey, you know what? This isn't the big one, but I'm going to do it with this one.
Baby steps.
Mom, I'm the one who stole the cookies in the 80s. That was me. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the one that gave the cat the haircut that you just rescued. You know, stuff like that. You can do this in steps, right? You don't have to sit there and go full force and make the first.
If you do that, you're a unicorn. Like, I want to know you, you know? Yeah. And that's why, so the program that I created, Shed the Shame, Manifest the Magic, really is me taking you through the different steps that I went through to get my healing. And, you know, like the first video is being brave and courageous. And I talk about, you know, how you get to be brave and courageous. And then I go into the uncover your shame is the next module, the one that I'm giving away as a free gift. That's the next module. So you can figure out what we're here to work on. And then it goes into forgiving yourself, loving yourself, forgiving others. There's like 8 different steps that I take people through. And the course is at home, at your own pace. Because like I said earlier, people who are dealing with this kind of shame don't want to be out there. They don't want to be known. They want to be able to be in a gentle place where they can really do some deep reflective work, because that's what this is. It's very deep reflective work, and it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight, but now's the time to start.
Well, and it's not, you know, you haven't kept it a secret because it's something that is easy for you to deal with. So, you know, people might, you know, people are going to need a little bit of time to, I guess, to come to grips with it on their own, you know. How important, and I'm asking this one for myself, because I noticed that when I was doing, you know, when I had a secret that I didn't want anybody to know, I used words when I first started telling people about it, that, you know, that I made a mistake. I didn't make a mistake. I made a really stupid decision. It wasn't a mistake. Okay. So when I was able to take and come to grips with, you know what? A mistake is I put too much mayonnaise on my sandwich. A mistake was I didn't do this because I wanted to drink. That was a stupid decision. Are there words that people have to work at? Are there thoughts that people have to work at to make this real? You know, do you have to do you have to really work on the way that you express yourself to make this real?
I'm trying to get clear on your question, but I also want to make a point of noting there's a differentiation between if this is something you've done as a child or an adult. Because if you've done it as an adult, you're making a decision. If you've done it as a child and you don't know any better, then that's a completely different distinction. I'm still trying to get clear on your question.
Well, like I said, I did, you know, I was a real bad alcoholic, and I made some really stupid decisions that I would say, you know, I made a mistake. I was drinking and I made this mistake. It wasn't a mistake. I made the decision to drink. You know, I made the decision to drink, which means I made the decision to do this action. So, but yeah, you are right as far as what you're talking about. You know, you stated very, very well in the beginning. This was a learned process for you. You, as a child, you didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
So
But on what you're talking about right now, though, too, even with my my program, they're part of one of the modules is you have to take responsibility.
mhm.
And so you have to acknowledge that it happened and take responsibility. So for you taking responsibility and acknowledging that it happened is going to be a different process than me taking responsibility and acknowledge that I was hurt as a child. So
Yeah.
going to be a couple different factors that go into that. Yeah.
I guess in the way that we're talking right there, let me ask you this question: can you make a mistake and acknowledge, or can you say it was a mistake and acknowledge your complicity as an adult? Like, can you take full responsibility if you said it was a mistake
As an adult, something that
as
you
an adult? As
I
an
think
adult,
you have to. I think you have to. Like if you want to heal from whatever it was that you did, because a lot, I'm talking here about secrets, and not everybody's secret is from childhood. Some people have had affairs, some people have
yeah,
stolen things, some people have stolen money from people. Like whatever your secret is, you have to take responsibility. You have to take full responsibility for it. Otherwise, you are still just kind of pushing it under the rug.
yeah. And see, that's where I was getting at, is that, say somebody was having an affair, isn't saying I made a mistake, I had an affair, isn't that kind of, trying to find a way of getting out of it, but saying, you know what, I made a bad decision, I had an affair. That's in I had to look at it that way, that I
Okay.
made a bad decision. You know, I drank, I, I drank, I did this action. I made a bad decision. It wasn't a mistake.
Yeah.
Me saying it was a mistake was, yeah, in my mind, I always thought that if I said it was a mistake, that, one or two little things that could have been different. But no, I made that decision. I went in there, I did it, I take responsibility for it. But saying a mistake is kind of like, trying to put lipstick on a pig, if you will.
I think it just depends on what kind of weight you're putting on the words. For you, it feels like saying you made a mistake is kind of a cop out, but saying I made a bad decision is you owning it, right?
Yeah.
That may not be the same definition for everybody. People might feel like by saying they made a
Okay.
mistake, they're actually owning it. I think it's just kind of the weight that you're putting on the words for yourself, which is fine.
Yeah. And I make no bones about it. I do take in, and I I go to extremes with certain stuff like that. And yes, words mean a lot to me. I don't, I look at people who I at one point in time I smoked 3 packs of cigarettes, and people say, "How did you quit?" I said, "I told myself I'm going to quit." Because if I told myself I think I want to quit, I would always have that out. If I think I'm going to quit and it doesn't happen, well, I thought I wanted to. I guess, yeah, I
Yeah.
I'm going to quit. I was done. That was it. That's it. So yeah,
He wants in.
yep, yep.
That's
So
so funny because I have a friend and she quit and she would say to herself, there are no cigarettes left in the world for you. There are no more cigarettes left in the world for you. Like she really had to wrap her mind around the fact that there were no more cigarettes left in the world for her.
yeah, I'll tell you, it's been 17 years now for me, something like that. There are no more for me. So,
I'm
but
not a
I was one of the, or I am one of those people, Jill, that anytime I do something, I try to win a prize. When I drank, I wanted to drink more than everyone else.
right.
When I smoked, I wanted to smoke more than anyone else.
Right. You're very
When I
competitive.
work, I want to work more than anyone else. I want people to look at me and say, wow, that guy's real dedicated to his craft.
Well, and you know what I know about you in the short time that I have known you? I believe that is 100% true because when you give more than most people give. Like you so generously give from your heart on so many different levels and so many different ways. It's really beautiful.
Well, I greatly appreciate that. I really do. I And that means a lot to me because there are people who, like yourself, who it's really important that we met, because there are people out there who need you. There are people who are out there who need your story so they can tell theirs. And if I come at it in any form of, trying to be fake about it, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
I
No.
want your story. I want this story to be one of the stories that people listen to and go, hey, you know what? I was hitting my head against a wall. I listened to Jill speak. I'm free,
That too.
and now I can come up to this other, now I can come up to this other wall. I can look at this other wall. I can get around this other wall, and I can help the next person get around that. And eventually we don't have walls, we have doors. And that's really what I want to see happen.
Yeah.
And that's why people like you, Jill, are so important to me, because your stories are needed by everyone, whether or not they have that secret. They know somebody who does, they know somebody who might be sitting there struggling with something. You can say, hey, you know what? Do me a favor, listen to this and tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Well, and it can help a lot of people.
Thank you. And without you and having the generous heart that you have, we wouldn't be doing this, so I appreciate you as much.
Well, I just want to thank you so much, because
Love fest.
Yeah. Well, what's that? Yeah, I guess we can't call it a man crush right now, but we'll just call it a
mutual admiration. And we're sitting here trying to one up each other about being able to say more about the other person.
So
I'm very competitive too, so you might lose this one.
Yeah, we'll just call it. You know what? We're both kind of cool, and we'll go with that.
Noted and accepted. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So, Jill, I want to thank you, because I asked you to, we had our conversation and I asked you to fill out a form to take and join us on this podcast, because I wanted to tell your story, and you filled out that and became a sponsor, which completely shocked me. It threw me aback. I believe I told you I've got a tear in my eye, because I wasn't expecting it. And I mean it. And I want to thank you, because this podcasting, where we're not where we want to be yet, we will be. And with people like you, it's going to be easier, because I really, truly do believe your stories of the other people that we've met, Holly, Meg, I know that you three are planning conversations. These stories are going to help out so many other people, as long as we keep them in front of people. So I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you as a person. Thank you very much.
Ditto.
How do people get a hold of you?
Everything is on my website, jilleschultz.com. And I'm pretty sure you can see it scrolling here. But if not, it's JILL, the letter E. My middle name is Elizabeth. And then SCHULTZ.com.
Don't forget the C.
Don't forget the C. And then on Instagram, it's jilleschultz_. That's my Instagram handle. And I do stuff on all of them. I have the most amazing assistant. She posts everything everywhere for me all the time, but I'm most active on Instagram.
I got a head injury. I got an assistant too, but he's kind of useless, Oh. Well, he's me.
He's you. I got that.
He's just my other.
We already talked about words matter.
Yep. Right? Yep. My other personality. So, and once again, if you have, if this is shaking you and you need to talk to somebody, please go to her website, jilleschultz.com/get-help. There are resources there for you. We never, ever put this information out with the intention of hurting anyone. We put this out because we really want to help. Yeah. So if this is information that can help some yourself or someone you know, maybe you want to have this resource in your pocket before you approach them with it. Okay, always make sure that they have this website, this landing page right here, to where they can resource this, because you want to make sure that there's somebody there, God forbid something goes wrong.
Yeah.
You always got to make sure we've got to watch out for each other. So, but Jill, I want to thank you so much for everything you do. I am looking forward to this partnership. I'm looking forward to working with you. I cannot wait until we start doing more things.
Thank
So,
you, Zach.
partly
It's been a
because my
blessing.
ego needs it.
Right. It's been a blessing to meet you. You know, I hopped on that speaker connection, I think was what it's called. And I hadn't done that before, and it was meant because I was meant to meet you. So,
you know, I'm actually talking to them on Monday because we have been able to share some of the best stories with some of the best people, in which, you know, not all networking events are equal. Let's be honest, not all of them are equal. That's a really, really good one when you want to meet some good people, even though, you know, it's definitely a different thing. It's a niche networking group, but I love it. And I love it because I get to meet people like you. And I love it because we get to tell these stories. So, but again, you're right. It was meant to be. And I cannot thank you enough for joining me and talking to me. And thank you so much for being a sponsor of what we do.
it is my pleasure.
All right. Just remember, jilleschultz.com. Once again, I want to thank Jill E. Schultz, jilleschultz.com. And as I mentioned before, we are going to share the video that talks about her lesson, shame, and what she is sharing with you by simply filling out this form. First name and email is all you have to put. This is Shed the Shame, Manifest Your Magic. So again, this is on her website, jilleschultz.com.
Hello, my name is Jill, and you are here on purpose. It is not an accident that you clicked on the link to get to this video. I know exactly what you're going through, and I want you to know that your secret is safe here. Everything that you're going to do in this space is completely private, and it's your time and your space to start to heal. I know that for me, it took many, many, many years for me to start going through the process to really look at what I was ashamed of. And I know where you are. I know where you've been. I know what you're feeling. And I want you to know that right now is your time. It's your time to start the healing. So you might be thinking, I can't do it. I'm too scared. But you can do this. Okay? I know that you can do this. So go ahead and fill out the information here. And we're going to send you the Uncover Your Shame module. And that is going to do a deep dive into figuring out what it is that you're ashamed of. And then we're going to do this beautiful, beautiful healing practice, this healing meditation that's going to help you let go of some of the things that you've been holding on to for so long. It is going to be so worth you doing this, I promise you. So I'm sending you all the love in the world, and I am really proud of you for taking this first step to be here with me today. And I look forward to supporting you any way that I can. So blessings to you, and this is good. This is your first step.
Okay, so once again, that is jilleschultz.com. You go to the page. When you go to the page, you will see the form. Simply fill out that form. Your first name, all she asks is your first name and your email address so she can send it to you. And you will get Share the Shame, Manifest the Magic. I sat here with my granddaughter a little bit as she listened to that story, and she asked a couple questions that were, let's be honest, I never had a daughter, definitely never had a granddaughter, so it was kind of weird for me to answer those questions, but the curiosity was there, and I'm glad that she took it very responsibly and talking about it. And it's an important conversation because, look, as kids we grow up and we do what we're told, not all the time. And definitely some of you probably did more of what you were told than some of us did. I wasn't that great of a kid, but we are products of our environment when we're younger. As Joe was mentioning, my thought about the wording was definitely more towards the adult. Taking responsibility for what you do as an adult is a hell of a lot different than than a kid doing something wrong. But I don't expect a kid that it's also one of those things. As parents, we need to remember that everything that they see, they're learning. Look, true fact is this: you're never going to be as smart as you are when you're an infant, because your brain can pick up anything at that point in time. You're working with a blank slate. As we get older, we make the decision that we're not going to take in as much stuff anymore. But as a kid, the only thing our brain can do is learn whatever's coming in. And as a parent, we've got to remember that, because that means that they're learning stuff from everything that they see us do. It's the reason why things like abuse, alcoholism, drug use, molestation, it can lead to lives that are very dangerous and just outright damning. So let's try to remember that, our kids are watching us. Thank you, everybody. My name is Zach Clayton. Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels. You've been watching Footprints Forward. If you have a story to tell, please scan the QR code up in the corner. That QR code up in the corner will allow you to fill out an application and tell us, hey, I would like to talk about this. And I will respond to you by going, tell me more. And then hopefully we'll get you on the show here before too long. I want to thank everybody that's been involved in the show from the beginning until now. I also want to thank Miss Jill E. Schultz for joining our sponsorship program, along with Mr. Z of Z World Webs, and Scott O'Sullivan of O'Sullivan Law Firm. I also want to thank our good buddy Les Simpson, who is involved in everything. I don't have time to list off everything that he's a part of, but they are our other platinum sponsors, and I want to thank them very much, along with Rider Justice, which is advocacy for those on two wheels, because damn it, we need it. I want to thank you very much, and I will see you next week right here on Footprints Forward. Have a great week. Please love somebody out there, because somebody out here loves you. Make sure you take care of somebody. If you're not helping somebody, you're hurting everyone. No one needs to go it alone when we all come together. Thank you.